So get this, I'm on my way to work the other day, right? And traffic was like fine. It's like a 15-minute commute, which is like a little longer, but like not bad, you know? And my wife, I get home to her and she's like, "How was your day?" And I was like, "Pretty good." I gave her a hug.
Hey, fun fans, it's another episode of We Enjoy. This week we are doing My Girl. That's right. Probably the most horrific movie we've ever done on this podcast. And that includes the Saw franchise, Friday the 13th franchise, and the Child's Play franchise. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, everybody. I'm tired because I went to a double feature last night that included Jackie Brown, a long movie, got home at 1 a.m., and then watched the Loki finale.
Double feature. You've been going Loki a lot of double features. You've been doubling up on double features.
Oh, I have got tickets for many double feature this month at the New Beverly.
Here's an idea.
I'm sure I mentioned, for those who don't know, this is the theater that Tarantino owns in LA. That's a very cool revival house and shows fun double features. Like last night was Robert Forster in honor of his birthday, the late Robert Forster. And so it was Alligator, 1980s Alligator, and Jackie Brown.
Alligator Loki?
Alligator Loki, the movie.
I got a pitch for you. Quadruple feature. Quintuple feature.
Well, no, I'm doing a quadruple feature because I'm doing it the New Bev Scream 1 through 4 on the 31st. So there you go.
Oh, Scream 1 through 4, yeah. Scream 4 was on TV last night. Great film. We'll do that. We'll definitely do the Scream franchise at some point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
closer to when the new movie
at the end
out.
of this year, yeah, leading into the new one.
Because Scream 4, I think is my second favorite Scream movie. I believe.
It's my second or third. I have to think about it.
At least it's not your fourth.
It's not my fourth.
Okay, so we have a special guest joining us for our My Girl chat today. Shannon Woodward is joining the chat. You will know her from Westworld and from playing Dina in The Last of Us, doing the voice and the performance motion capture for that. And also for Raising Hope. And amongst other things, she has a Apple TV Plus series coming out called Mr. Corman with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And so she's going to join us for My Girl as we continue having guests that weren't in the projects we're discussing, but are just sort of fans and are overly interested in these movies. So I think that's a good slotting. I think it's a good niche.
Yeah,
like finding fans of the properties to talk about it with us.
Yeah. And not to say that we will never have people involved in projects. I want to leave that possibility open. But I also think it's just fun to have people who also enjoy things. This is a podcast about enjoying, after all. So celebrities enjoy things.
They do. So I've heard. They also pump gas, go to the grocery store, get Starbucks. I've seen the pictures in Us Weekly.
It's crazy.
They are just like, speaking of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, his old Third Rock from the Sun co-star, the lead of that show, you could say, John Lithgow, Dick Solomon, let slip that Jennifer Carpenter was in Dexter. This isn't officially a news story we're diving into, but since we talked about John Lithgow coming back for the Dexter revival and that there was no official word on Jennifer Carpenter, John Lithgow actually...
Who we all suspected would make a lot of sense to bring her back. But yeah, Lithgow, I love when that happens. We talked about Alfred Molina being like, yeah, I'm in Spider-Man. Sometimes you're an actor, you've been around for a long time. You're like, I don't care. Like, you know,
as you said in the text, like, what did you say? Just like old guys are just saying what they want, which
they just
in my head, I sang it like to the tune of Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves, but like,
yeah. There's Ian McShane talking about Game of Thrones before he was supposed to. Yeah.
They don't give a shit. You can find us on Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast. Also over on Patreon for just a couple bucks a month. You can get a commercial-free version of this podcast dropped right into your Patreon feed. And please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you prefer to listen to podcasts, and give us a 5-star Frog Splash rating. And thank you for those who have already done so. And let's dive into some news before we get into. We did have some people write in this week. Also, I found an old email that I didn't get to from about a month ago, which I won't like fully read, but I just want to touch on because I want to apologize to Nick, who I sort of skipped over there when we were ahead of our Demolition Man chat. So the Emmy nominations came out for us yesterday, and some very interesting choices as far as a lot of genre shows that we enjoy.
Yeah.
Slipping in with the prestige shows that you normally expect to see in the Emmys. Some confoundingly and some very welcome. Some like, I think, Eric and I are very excited about Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany getting actor and actress nominations for a limited series, as well as Kathryn Hahn for getting a supporting actress nomination for that show as well. WandaVision is a show that, we would not have been surprised had it been left out.
Right. I was hoping, like I tweeted, I might be my most popular tweet ever. It had like 11,000 likes. I wished for Elizabeth Olsen to get an Emmy nomination tweet that got picked up by Olsen Stan Twitter. But I was like, my whole thing was like, I really hope she gets nominated. But if she's not, I'll be like, yeah, of course. It was a comic book thing and they just couldn't see themselves nominating it. But so great that they did, because she fully deserves it.
Oh, totally, 100%. A lot of love also for the recently canceled Lovecraft Country, bringing up the idea of what counts as a limited series. It's intended to be a limited series, but then gets an extra season, as opposed to what counts as an ongoing series, which gets canceled after one season, but also has sort of told its own full story, like Lovecraft Country, which is nominated for Best Drama, as well as, acting nominations for Joni Smollett and Jonathan Majors, and I believe what's the name, Anjanou Ellis, also, and Michael K. Williams. So 4 acting nominations for that show as well as Best Series. So and then drama nomination for The Mandalorian, along with some.
I think Mandalorian got nominated last year.
It did, right? But the more surprising elements this year are the acting nominations for supporting for Carl Weathers, Timothy Oliphant, which they were in it. I don't think anyone's really drawing out stellar performance, vibes from The Mandalorian. The funny thing is, if I have to talk about a performance from the last season that stood out to me, it's the Bill Burr scene. From season 2 of Mandalorian. He didn't get nominated, but Carl Weathers and Timothy Oliphant did, who are playing fun roles, but I wouldn't, throw a nomination at them, as well as the Don Cheadle of it all,
which is amazing.
Which is amazing. And, it's insane and amazing for Falcon and Winter Soldier, as he very convincingly, gave us the feeling of a man walking through a museum for about 30 seconds in the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And he did a funny tweet about it. I don't get it either. That was bizarre. I have a whole other tangent I won't get too far down the rabbit hole of, about how much I'm curious about the Marvel contracts with these TV shows, and how certain actors like Cheadle and Julia Louis-Dreyfus just get credited as though they're part of the regular cast. And now Loki, I won't name any actors for the last couple of episodes, but a couple actors who have been special guest star credits. So I'm just so curious, like, how do they decide? Like, you're in one episode, but we just list you.
By the way, is it also in contracts? I am not aware of this at all, even with our mothers both being actors. In contracts, is it like a given that like their name will automatically always be submitted for an Emmy nomination, regardless of what they do? No. Because I don't know why anyone would have submitted Cheadle.
Like, the only thing that would happen, because what you get, because people have snarked on these for years, and I don't, Cheadle wasn't campaigning for himself, that's for sure.
No.
But Disney would have put out a for your consideration, and they just list everybody. They list everybody who was a part of the show of any consequence. And it's this crazy long list. Now, they do this again. This is something that goes back for years with any big movie and TV show. People will joke about it all the time, because like Transformers 2 will do a for your consideration ad listing everyone involved in those movies.
Yeah, and they're like Jazz, Beetlejuice.
Right, yeah.
So I said, I don't know why it's Beetlejuice,
and I accepted it.
I know, you let it slip. Yeah, my favorite Transformer, my favorite Decepticon, Beetlejuice.
The only thing I liked about Transformers 2, Beetlejuice.
Me imagine sitting there watching Beetlejuice instead.
And so it's funny. I saw someone say, I can't remember who it was, but one of our film Twitter journalist friends said a funny thing about it. Doesn't it feel like John Cheadle gets a nomination because he's on this giant list of potential nominees because Disney just submits everyone who was in the show. And people are like, well, I didn't watch that show, but Don Cheadle's always good. He must have been good at that.
It doesn't matter if it was, 45 seconds of dialogue and that's it.
Which they don't even know. They're just
So again, like with Mandalorian, and performance-wise, what leapt out to me about Mandalorian was the Bill Burr scene. For me, if I had to pick a performance from Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's Carl Lumbly. Like,
for sure.
So, like, if there was a nomination to come from that show, both shows got nominated for supporting characters, but not the one that should have actually been nominated. If they were doing that, it's like, if we're doing this, if we're nominating someone from Falcon and Winter Soldier, they went the wrong direction. So for drama series, another really interesting entry and a newcomer this year is The Boys, which is not without drama. It is a R-rated, gory, mature superhero series that comes with a lot of angst and grit and revenge and stuff like that. But it is also sublimely absurd and silly and purposely so. And I know that the clip that they were showing when they announced The Boys is the scene in season 2 when they drive this boat into a beached whale and explode it. So yeah, that was also interesting. And then the rest were sort of newcomer also, for Netflix, not surprising. Bridgerton, The Crown's always there. Handmaid's Tale's always there. Pose is a good surprise. This Is Us always now is the only sort of network show to ever kind of eke into these kind of things. Comedy wise, we've got Blackish. Now we've got Cobra Kai, and you could also argue about the balance between comedy and drama with Cobra Kai as well.
And here's the thing about Cobra Kai. I love Cobra Kai, and I'm very happy to see it nominated. Even though, yes, is it drama or comedy? It's a hybrid.
I wouldn't know where to slot it, because if they've put it in drama, I would have the same kind of issue.
Yes. So I have but the biggest thing that jumps out to me about that is you see the just the halo effect of it moving to Netflix and more eyes on it, because this was season 3 and I still love the show, but I didn't think this was like a better season than 1 and 2. But it was Netflix. Like now it had that,
it didn't have, it wasn't being swept under the rug by YouTube Red.
Right. Where it got stunt nominations for when it was on YouTube, but now it gets, now it actually gets a comedy.
I can't believe I said a Transformer was Beetlejuice.
It happens. Like, we have a lot of pop culture characters.
I love it. No, now I want a Transformer Beetlejuice. Emily in Paris, which I have not seen except for
it's supposed to be terrible from
I know I've seen is the peripheral online snark about it,
and people there's people who seem to like love it, watch it to have snark on it, but that was a weird one.
I've been trying more and more to get away from the term guilty pleasure. There are people out there who love the Hallmark movies, the holiday Christmas movies, stuff like that, and those and I always feel like the terms basic and guilty pleasure are mostly used to sort of punish women for what they like, because a lot of it has to do with rom-coms. I know we use it for like bad B-level action movies sometimes, but for the most part, it's used for romance and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get away from that. But yeah, it does seem that people do enjoy this show when they do enjoy it for that sort of inherent cheesiness and glossiness and the stuff that normally people online would make fun of. Hacks is a show I want to see. It's just on my list, and there's a lot to watch.
Really good.
Are you watching it, or have you watched it?
I've watched some of it. I need to finish the season, but I love what I've seen.
I also want to watch The Flight Attendant, the Kaminsky Method, of which I saw the first season. I think I'm good on that show, but
the fact that Kathleen Turner's in the final season reunited with Douglas kind of makes me want to watch it, because I like that
it's got some acting noms too. It's got Paul Reiser, I think, got a guest nomination for it, and
what if he's exactly like Don Cheadle? Like he's in one little quick scene.
He could be.
I guess that would be like if Paul Reiser got nominated for Stranger Things season 3, where he just showed up at the very end.
And Morgan Freeman also got a guest nomination for Kaminsky Method. Ted Lasso is great. Pen 15 is great. I'm glad to see both of those on the comedy series list. Limited series is kind of where it's at. I have not seen The Underground Railroad, but I did watch Mayor of Easttown, I May Destroy You, Queen's Gambit, and WandaVision. So I'm for all of those. I think of those 4, Queen's Gambit is the one I could kind of drop if I needed to, because that was good, but I think it was just sort of traditionally good. I don't know. I think it was a solid good, not great.
You've seen a lot more of those than I have, but I will say, just observing from the outside, both with the show itself and like Best Actress, it's Queen's Gambit or Mayor of Easttown feel like the ones that like. Yeah, I'm glad it's an honor to be nominated, but I don't think WandaVision's winning in those categories.
Mayor of also I May Destroy You, I think, was probably the least watched. I mean, critically acclaimed, but also probably the least on people's radars of those series. Let's see. For actors, you've got people from The Crown, This Is Us, Handmaid's Tale, Pose, In Treatment. I'm glad Matthew Rhys got a nomination for Perry Mason because I really liked the first season of that. Comedy, we've got Amy Bryant, Kaylee Cuoco, Allison Janney, Tracy Ellis Ross, Gene Smart, lead actor Anthony Anderson, Michael Douglas, William H. Macy, Jason Sudeikis, Kenan Thompson. I won't go through all of these. I'm trying to think of the ones to pick out from here. Again, a lot of love for acting on Lovecraft Country. Oh, another one for Mandalorian, Giancarlo Esposito. Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, a complaint I'd have is I wish that character, because he's so good, had more nuance to him. He's a villain. Guess what? Giancarlo Esposito is good as a villain.
Yes, he is. He could play a mirror, literally, on a show, an evil mirror.
And he did it, yeah.
And a lot of nomination for just about most cast members of Saturday Night Live, as well as many people who hosted. Mm-hmm. And
I mean, I think we can move on.
We can move on. Anything glaringly left out for you?
My overall thought was just about the fact that they are embracing more of quote unquote our shows is cool. It's funny because the Oscars, a few years ago made this thing where they expanded their categories from 5 to 10 so they could have more, because there was so much complaint that, it's like Dark Knight doesn't get a nomination, but it would have if they had 10 nominees maybe. And so they did that, and, Black Panther got in there, and there's a couple times, but it's not happened that much. It does seem like the Emmys, and maybe this is because there is so much TV that no one can keep up with it all. And so some of the more popular goods things, things that are well made, do get their chance a little more, because at least there's only a smaller group of shows that everyone's watching. Yeah, I'm saying everyone is like the Emmy people who are voting, the Emmys who do actually, we joke about how did John Cheadle get nominated, but hopefully most of the people are watching most of these shows to choose from. So, but they can't watch them all. And so I think that does give some of these, a show like WandaVision, which is just a very creative, well-executed show, a better chance than it ever had, and I'm happy about that.
Again, also WandaVision brought in a lot of people who'd never even laid eyes on the MCU before, just because of the gimmick involved.
I want to bring tell people on Twitter that Loki was not eligible because people were like, "What about Hiddleston and Loki?" I'm like, "Well, maybe next year if they remember it, because it debuted right after the eligibility period ended for this year."
Some food for thought of the shows that we were talking about, these genre shows that we like and we watch, and that were sort of folded into the usual prestige shows. Netflix is still represented. They've got The Crown always, Bridgerton. But let's look at what was nominated with Lovecraft Country, The Boys, Mandalorian, WandaVision. One is an HBO show. The rest are streaming series, but they are weekly streaming series. Mm-hmm. So I just think that even that benefits.
Again, you're in everyone's minds longer. You make more of an impression. People they spend more time caring and investing.
Yeah, they'll make Agatha all along memes for weeks. Yep. And all those Giancarlo Esposito Mandalorian memes that we love. The next news item we're just going to touch on this week is the fact that after so many different Star Trek movies in the pipeline, as far as Quintino was starting one up, then there was a Noah Hawley one was supposed to write and direct the next Star Trek movie. And we were all wondering what the fate was for the Chris Pine crew of the sort of the Kelvin verse, the Abrams verse, and how that was all going to shake out. Were they gone? Were they ever coming back? A lot of stop starts with the Star Trek franchise. It's been announced that WandaVision director Matt Shakman is going to direct the next installment for Paramount and Bad Robots Star Trek film series. And it's supposedly going to keep going with the same crew, with the same actors.
Well, Justin Kroll from Deadline said that's the intention. They have to sign them.
I know nothing is official. I'm just saying that that's what they want. It's not. They're not saying, and this will be a completely new direction with new characters or newly cast people. They want everyone back. Whether or not that comes to fruition, we'll have to see.
Yeah, because it sounds like Tarantino and Hawley were going to totally new things, and then there was the version that came very close to being made with the Pine crew that Hemsworth was going to be in. That was going to be like a time travel thing with George Kirk returning and Chris Hemsworth, who had that.
Bring him back now that he's way more famous than when he was in the first movie.
Yeah, but made a big impact in that one scene. But supposedly that was a huge. The reason that didn't happen was the salary, because Hemsworth and Pine wanted more than they were offering because they were coming off Star Trek Beyond, didn't do as well, and so that fell apart at the last minute. So many different iterations, but now it sounds like they are returning to that group. I feel like I really like that cast. There was a lot of things they botched about how they did those movies. I loved Star Trek 2009. I love that first Abrams movie. But say what you will about Into Darkness, which has a lot of problems, but also took 4 years to come out, which was like a fatal mistake, I think, on any momentum off of Star Trek 2009. And then same, Star Trek Beyond, which I think is better liked than Into Darkness. But again, it's just like these movies didn't execute this all well. But I'm up for seeing this cast again. I think they're going to need something like Hemsworth, and I don't think they're returning to that unless that's a big secret, but they're going to need something bigger. It can't just be Star Trek Beyond, which was a good movie, but it didn't have anything to like really stick out at that moment.
Do they get Shatner at this point? Because even the 2009 they had the Nimoy of it all.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Shatner, especially right anymore, but something. And maybe it's just a great, they had Idris Elba as the villain in Beyond, and then you couldn't see him for most of the movie under makeup. But they just something. I'm just curious how they will kind of pitch this. And it's interesting that it's going to be finally happening now that there's like 20 Star Trek TV shows on.
Oh, I know. Of which all of the Star Trek projects that I'm excited about, the one I'm excited about most is Brave New World. So. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that plays out. That's Discovery I think is fine. I wasn't able to keep up with season 3 because I ditched my my CBS All Access, now Paramount Plus. I didn't even make it to the end of the first series of Picard because I just kind of fell out of interest with it, but we'll see how this all shapes out. I am a fan of man, I know it's like, oh, just let it die already, or just stop trying to get blood from a stone when it comes to like more. Like, do we need a new Indiana Jones movie? No, but I would prefer it not to end with Crystal Skull, right? Like, right. Same thing with Dexter. I'm for the revival because if anything could just be a bit better to end with, that's what I want. And the same thing for Star Trek. And I liked Beyond. I liked it a lot. It's just that it wasn't well received and people turned their nose up at it for various reasons, sabotage among them. But so I just want like a good final bow for a lot of these characters and actors that I like playing these characters. So that's what I want. That's all I want, Eric.
But sabotage was very well used in that movie.
It was very well used. I enjoyed it. I'm saying that other people, because I think they felt like they were supposed to hated it. Okay. Let me get into these messages here real quick before we get into our good things to enjoy. And then we're going to toss it to our main event, which was recorded separately with Shannon Woodward. And she was such a joy and a blast to talk to about My Girl, a movie I had not seen. I was very much in my pop culture brain as a movie that existed, but I did not see it in all of these 30 years. So fun chat. Stick around for that. Nick wrote in, and this was about a month ago, I'm just going to say he wanted to remind us about the Demolition Man MTV special called Countdown to Demolition, where they blew up an entire building with a crowd watching.
I don't remember this at all. Now I want to find it.
Okay, it's in our emails. I could just forward it to you too. Yeah. Because he included a video. Awesome. I'm not going to play it here because this is radio, not television, Hans, but he included it. Then he also added at the end, also, as someone who is a faithful listener of We Enjoy Wrestling, I'm so glad that you both aren't watching and discussing Raw lately. Oh, boy. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about glossing over and skipping over your email there, Nick, but let's get into the 3 R's who have written in, and that would be Ryan, Richard, and Russell. I have all written in just coincidentally with our names. So Russ from Wisconsin writes in, "You sick puppies got me into horror and gore films. I am now up to the first Purge in the Purge series. Would you recommend the TV show? Peacock has 2 seasons of it. Seems like a lot to take in before watching the Forever Purge. Signed, Russ. P.S. How much pro wrestling are you soaking in nowadays? Will the live crowds bring you back to the shows?" First of all, I enjoy the Purge TV show. It is not necessary to watch. It's all extra. I think it's really well done. You can go to the Forever Purge if you don't want to watch 24. Are they 12 episodes each?
I thought they were 10, but I could be. I didn't watch it. So I could
10 sounds good. So 20 episodes or more, maybe, of a TV show. If you really do want to skip over them, there is an IGN video that I wrote the script for. I did not do the voice work for, called "The Purge Events in Chronological Order," or just Google something like that plus IGN, and you'll find the video. It's like a 14-minute video, but it takes you through the Purge franchise up until the Forever Purge, so that's not included. But I do go into what I consider the most important points from the 2 seasons of the TV show. So keep in mind there are spoilers, though. So if you do intend to watch it, don't watch the video. But and pro wrestling is bringing me back into buildings because I'm going to AEW Dynamite here in the Dallas area next week.
I haven't watched the Purge show, though. I want to check it out at some point. It has a Purge head. Wrestling. I'm dabbling. I've been watching. I watched the last couple SmackDowns. I watched some NXT. I haven't seen Raw. It's funny. I've watched some NXT and SmackDown.
Eric, Raw is so long. Did you know that?
It's a very long show. I was excited that Zelina Vega came back, and I'm curious, that some of the putting Shotzi, no longer Blackheart, on SmackDown, and Tegan Knox. So I'm dabbling, and Matt and I are going to SummerSlam in a few weeks. So that'll be my first.
We're going. So that's a big show. That's like a big.
And we'll do it. We enjoy wrestling for that. I'm a dabbler right now these days, which is, I think, a good way to be.
It is a good way to be. Richard writes in from New Haven, Connecticut, a place where I lived formerly in my my toddler years. I ended my streak of seeing every MCU movie in the theater opening weekend with Black Widow. My wife and I have twin 1-year-olds. Oof. Godspeed, Richard. Twin 1-year-old girls, and it's difficult for us to go anywhere, let alone the movies. I feel you. Thanks to Disney Plus Premier Access, we were able to watch Black Widow from the comfort of our couch. It's also nice to know that my friends and family that have profiles on my Disney Plus account can also watch the movie too. Lastly, it's not a 1 or 2 day rental. I can watch Black Widow as many times as I like, so long as my
is this a commercial
subscription is current, which will be for years thanks to these 2 little girls. Eric, is that true? You get to keep Black Widow forever?
As long as your current subscription maintains. I mean, of course, it'll be streaming anyway in like 3 months. It'll be just a regular no Premier Access.
Oh, see that?
Yes.
See that? Richard, yeah. So you have a 3-month window before everyone has it for free, or at least with just a subscription. Yeah, I was like, that's a good deal. It's coming there pretty soon. So that's who it's made for. Again, people who still might not be comfortable going back into theaters, which is totally understandable, and for people who have small children and or a large family, which it would break the bank to take them to see a movie, which are usually all now dine-in theaters now, which means you have to get some sort of food because you feel bad for the servers there, or the kids want food, and then it's just even more money.
My theaters are not all dine-in theaters, go
to the suburbs, Eric, and most of them are sort of dine-in.
It's a long conversation. I'm a childless purist who this isn't my problem. No, I'm about that maintaining the theatrical experience thing. Also, there's also bigger questions about piracy. Like everyone's bringing up the fact that they're giving everyone a pristine version of Black Widow to pirate, and what does it all mean? And we're going to talk about Black Widow on a special episode.
I sure did like having those Black Widow gifts available within a day.
Yes, of everything that happened
online.
So there's so many pluses and minuses, but I don't want to negate the pluses. They exist, and of course they exist, and there's financial reasons and convenience reasons reasons and health reasons. These, if you're, I understand completely everyone making their own decisions on what feels safe for them. So I take that all into account, while I also do wonder the long-term feasibility or what it might mean for all these things and where we'll be at in a year. And
also, the idea of like how many people who are getting it on Premier Access only are just streaming fans anyway and weren't going to go to the theater no matter what. Like,
right.
Pandemic aside. Richard continues, I do miss sitting in front of a big screen with a bunch of strangers that are as excited as I am to see the next chapter of the MCU, and I'll rejoin the party one day. I get the Premier Access isn't for everyone, but I wish Disney would continue to support this hybrid release, although I doubt they will. Well, they're not for Shang-Chi right now. So
yeah, they are for Jungle Cruise.
Thank you guys for the weekly entertainment, and I'm still holding out. Hope that Eric will play The Last of Us. I really think Matt is going to enjoy Ghost of Tsushima. It's a beautiful game. He must have seen my tweets because I just started that game. I believe at the recommendation of a few people, one of whom was Brent Simons. So, P.S. Have you guys watched I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson on Netflix? Season 2 just came out, and it is hilarious, as Richard writes, actually with the hyphen between high and hilarious. That is another show on my list. I hear it's wonderful. But I haven't watched season 1, so I can't catch season 2 yet. I guess here, I could, but
same here. But it's one of those shows I don't know if I'd even heard of it, or if I'd heard of it, it was in super passing until season 2, and then it seemed like everyone on my Twitter feed was a big fan from season 1. It's like that's another weird thing of all the shows you have all the time now. It's like, oh, I guess there's a bunch of big fans of this thing I'd barely heard of.
Terry Schwartz was a big fan of season 1, which is where I got most of the beaming reviews and accolades for season 1 when it came out. Was just Terry saying
she liked it so much she said I'm going to go work for Netflix.
Yeah, that was and they're like, I think you should stay.
She said okay.
All right, so Ryan writes in, hey guys, Ryan here, hope you both had a safe 4th of July weekend. I watched Demolition Man for my first time and I absolutely loved it. Yay. I was only used to Wesley Snipes as Blade, so to see him play such an outlandish character was a lot of fun. I have a question for you guys. I was curious what you guys thought of the first Jeepers Creepers. I like it despite some obvious problems with it, and I know the director of the franchise is a piece of shit, and that's putting it lightly. I just think the concept of the Creeper is cool, and what you guys think of the reboot cool that's getting the rights away from the director, and thank you, Eric, for explaining to me why Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is absent on HBO Max. I saw the first Jeepers Creepers a long time ago in the aughts. I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there like 2002 or something, or 3. But I thought it was fine. Was okay with it. I didn't think it was anything special. I think the use of the song, which is what, the Jeepers Creepers song, and the reveal of what that means, where it's like, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but like literally the weird demon that goes across the desert and attacks people is after people's eyes, and it's like, yeah, where'd you get those peepers? I get it. And I felt like that was supposed to be a twist, and I was like, all right. I guess unfortunately, Ryan, my initial reaction to it wasn't all too favorable. I thought it was just fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine too. Look, it is very impossible to separate that movie from its filmmaker. And again, under a 2021 lens, especially, where it's like, wow, they just hired a convicted child molester for a movie, like to direct a major movie.
Now it's coming back to me. I didn't know what he was talking about. Is this the powder guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Now now I remember. Okay.
Yes. And Powder. So that was at the time. Not that it didn't get bad reaction at the time that he was directing it, but now it's like, wow, that's crazy. It is. It's good imagery in that movie. Like, the creeper himself. And the weird mixture of it's like flying guy but truck, like there's like fun elements there that I do see why like a reboot will happen. It's and there's all the questions though about like, is this in any way going to financially help this person that it's kind of crazy that Hollywood financially helped for quite a while, so that gets into a whole other thing. But I barely remember the movies either. I remember Ray Wise in the sequel. Didn't see the third one. Just remember that the creeper was an effective like creature, like he worked as like a cool like ominous horror thing, and that's why I think I can see why the reboot thing is happening, because that's where we go with these things.
As long as Transformer Rise of the Beast has Beetlejuice in it, I'm fine. That's what I have to say about that. Hudson Hawk is my good thing to enjoy. I'm just starting myself off, Eric.
Yep.
and then you can go. Let's see. I am very surprised, especially this talk of Jeepers Creepers and like the sort of the dusty desert highways and stuff like that reminded me of the movie Breakdown, which was the movie I was sure you were going to pick this week for your good thing to enjoy. But I'm looking at the Google Doc here and you did not, because there's a new release of Breakdown coming that I thought was going to spark your good thing this week. One day you're going to
I'll wait till the new release is out.
Oh, so you could actually wait till it's out to recommend Breakdown.
Yeah.
Okay. My good thing this week is Hudson Hawk, which is a weird thing to say because it is a notorious Raspberry nominated bomb. I don't think it's along the lines of like a Waterworld or other things.
Didn't we say that Sandra Bullock got a Raspberry nomination for, was it Demolition Man or Speed? One of those that she.
Well, we're against. I'm against Raspberry Awards anyway. Like it's just we've talked about it. It's they had their time. They're tasteless now. They're unnecessary to point out hard people's work. Like financial underperformance and bad reviews are fine enough on their own to let people know that a project didn't work. We don't need an actual ceremony to pour salt on the wound. Hudson Hawk was a film that I remember liking even when I saw it in the theater. It wasn't something I came to appreciate later. I enjoyed Hudson Hawk in the theater, even though I, along with, millions of other moviegoers, I assume, were bamboozled by the ad campaign, which did not tell you that it is a zany slapstick comedy complete with surreal comedy and like funny sound effects and like songs. And it's so hard to describe this movie. It's just a screwball action comedy. And at the time, Bruce Willis had, I think Die Hard 2 came out before this, I believe.
Yes, it was a year before.
So this was like action star Bruce Willis. He proved himself with Die Hard. He proved himself again with Die Hard 2. He was starting to do dramas too. I think he did In Country. Bonfire of the Vanities wasn't well received, but he was doing stuff. He was a movie star at this point. And I remember the trailers being very cagey about the plot and not offering up a lot of dialogue. It was heavily narrated. I remember the trailer voice guy in my head. It's like, this summer, catch the hawk. And it's like him swinging and like, it's supposed to, basically they hyped it up and promoted it like it was a serious action movie. And it was far from it. It was completely ludicrous. Ludicrous was not in the movie. It was just a really fun movie that I didn't know if I wanted to recommend on this because truthfully, I have not seen it in a while. But then your tweet saying that you caught it a few years ago and it still holds up. Last year. Yeah. So the fact that it still held up for you made me feel like it would still hold up for me. And it was worth recommending to people to either watch for the first time because you avoided it because it has this stigma attached to it, or rewatch it now knowing what it's supposed to be and appreciating it on its own bizarre, outlandish terms. It is a movie written by Daniel Waters, writer of Heathers, directed by Michael Lehman, director of Heathers. And it's Bruce Willis plays a thief who's forced to steal stuff for a diabolical husband and wife played by Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernhardt, and they're way over the top. And Annie McDowell's in it, and she plays a battling nun, and Danny Aiello. It's just a crazy movie. James Coburn is in it playing a CIA operative. And this is how in-jokey this movie can get. Named George Kaplan. Do you know North by Northwest, Eric?
I mean, I've seen it once at a revival house a few years ago.
So the spy that Cary Grant's character is mistaken for in that movie is named George Kaplan.
Okay.
And so they named James Coburn's character George Kaplan in this movie just as a way of saying, presenting him as possibly the real George Kaplan of the spy world cinematic universe. It also has Andrew, how do you say his name? Briniarski, who we know as Chip Shrek from Batman Returns. It's
previously collaborated with writer Daniel Waters on Batman Returns. Well, actually, Future, because the
Future it comes out. Yeah, and then we've got pre-NYPD Blue David Caruso.
A very funny role as a mute mimic.
It's basically there's like assassins in this movie who are named after candy bars. So David Caruso's Kit Kat. There's a Butterfinger, a Snickers. please watch this movie. It's really silly, and I love it a lot. Especially there's a part where they're scaling over rooftops in Vatican City, and they knock an antenna, and they cut to the Pope, who is watching Mr. Ed in Italian, and his TV like sort of fritzes up because of the antenna movement, and he's like hitting it with his papal staff. Okay, so you can only sort of watch this movie with subscriptions to like Stars or DirecTV or something like that. So
it's not Stars,
it's not the easiest thing to catch.
You can rent or buy it. Azanaka I really like. I watched it again last year. It held up. Trisha never seen it, and she really liked it. Or maybe if she'd seen it, it'd been like once when it came out. I think, like you said, it was mismarketed as a serious, like, cool Bruce Willis action movie. It's from the writer and director of Heathers, and Daniel Waters wrote Batman Returns and Demolition Man. When you hire Daniel Waters, you get quirky. You don't get straightforward. And under that lens, not everything in the movie works, but a lot of it does, and it's a lot of fun. My movie that I'm recommending is just one I watched this weekend. You mentioned Brent Simons. I'll mention him again because it was his birthday, and we decided to watch like bad movie. It's like, I certainly all the time like to watch bad movies that are fun, but that can mean a lot of different things. And there was one I had never heard of. Full credit here to How Did This Get Made, because they did an episode about this movie a few weeks ago, and I had never heard of this movie, and they mentioned they had never heard of it till it was like their producer came to them with it. It's called The Visitor from 1979, not the one with Richard Jenkins from 2008. And it's got a 19.
Eric's referencing our pre-podcast chatter where I'm saying, "What Visitor? The Richard Jenkins one?"
Yeah. But there's some big stars in it. At the 1979 stars, and a couple of people of the future, who would Lance Henriksen's in it, who is not like a leading man star, but is certainly very recognizable. But the lead, John Huston is the lead. John Huston, acclaimed director, father of Angelica Houston, also acted sometimes. He's one of the leads. Shelley Winters is in this movie.
Chinatown's John Huston, yeah.
Glenn Ford, who I think pop culture wise most people know as Jonathan Kent from the Christopher Reeve Superman, making everyone sad when he dies.
He holds his arm, Eric. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant, and it scared me.
And Sam Peckinpah is in this, another famous director.
So as directors, yeah.
Yeah. But the movie is it was filmed mostly in Atlanta, but a little bit in Italy because it's an Italian director. And the thing about this movie that makes it a great bad movie, and one that is like now like a movie I will show people bad movie, is it's well made. Like, it looks good. There are cool shots in it, but it's nonsense. It is 1979 and is clearly ripping off The Omen and The Exorcist. It is about a evil little girl, this 8-year-old girl who has been, whose mom is basically like. The funniest thing about this movie is it begins and it feels like it's a sequel because there's no buildup. There's something wrong with her. It's like she's doing bad stuff and her mom's like, yeah, I love her because she's my daughter, but I think she's evil. Like that, her mom's already come to this conclusion. But it's also there's a sci-fi.
So no expert needs to come in and tell her.
Right? Not really. Things.
Look, mother knows.
She escalates things, and there's a sci-fi bent, and you wonder, was the pitch on this, or was basically a bunch of producers saying it'll be The Exorcist and Omen meet Star Wars, because it's religious and clearly like you could say it's all like analogous for like the devil and God and whatnot, except that it's like John Huston is kind of from space, has an emissary of good, and there's a Jesus-like figure played by Franco Nero, who is Django in the original Django movies, and Tarantino gave him a cameo in Django Unchained as a nod to where he got that title from. But it's like, and they make references to some like, space war we never see. But then the movie just continues, and it's about this little evil girl. And huge kudos to this kid Paige Connor, who did a few more acting roles, but then didn't really act much after that. And I was so curious. I was Googling her, and I think she like has like a company in Atlanta that's is it like eyelashes or something with like makeup or something, but great. Like, clearly she kind of looks like Linda Blair, which I'm sure was one of the reasons they cast her, but she's this girl from Atlanta. She's got this Southern accent, but she is cursing and yelling and doing evil and screaming at John Huston. And it is a ball. Like, it is one of those movies that is like a really
So
great
it's like
bad.
is it like a Troll 2 type?
But no, because Troll 2 is incompetently made. Like, Troll 2, there's no artistry to Troll 2. It's just bad, but it's great. It's like a gloriously bad. This movie is a really, like a very impressive cast, but it looks good. The director did like 4 other movies, but he's also an Italian actor who was an 8.5. I saw. But so it's like, it feels like it's a quality movie, but it's not. But then it's very watchable. And there's some genuinely cool shots and moments. They're like, oh, so it's not like Troll 2 because it's like a different kind of bad movie. It's like, it's got that weird, because it's an Italian director, it feels like there's like a weird, like foreign film vibe to it. Anyway, yeah, it was a really fun experience. And I can show you, Matt, you won't see it, bought the Blu-ray, but you can watch it for free on a service because there's so many streaming services I had never heard of. Wait, I lost our script. There it is. You can watch it on Fandor, not Fandom where I work. Fandor, Fandor, which is one of those subsections on Prime, like how there's add-ons on Prime. But Fandor is $3.99 a month, but you could do the 7-day trial. So do the 7-day free trial. Don't forget to cancel it immediately. That's my trick, by the way. When I do the free trial, I immediately cancel and they let you still finish the free trial. So do that.
Oh, that's a good trick. Because I was going to say someone should develop an app that reminds you to cancel all your fucking free trials. Yeah.
The minute you sign up for the free trial, cancel your subscription, and it'll say, "Are you sure?" And then it'll say you finish throughout whatever is a week or a month. And watch The Visitor. It's also on Tubi, I think, with commercials.
What if you canceled it and then it said that you couldn't watch The Visitor, but you had to watch the Richard Jenkins Visitor from 2008? Like, it switches visitors on you.
It's a good movie. So
yeah, so I've heard the reviews are in.
Different experience.
Richard Jenkins Visitor is great.
But don't watch the Richard Jenkins one. My assignment to you is to watch 1979's The Visitor. But yeah, maybe have a couple drinks and have some fun. And the score, which is amazing. And it's like a guy who did a bunch of Italian westerns, and they give John Huston this bombastic hero theme as though he's in a Private Eye movie instead of a very elderly John Huston trying to stop a devil child. Good stuff.
Oh man, that Loki score is great. Speaking of scores,
so good.
It's so good. We stay tuned for a few days from now. We're going to release our Loki finale, Loki season 1 wrap up, slash Black Widow recap review wrap up for basically an MCU episode coming your way. And then next week's main event is My Girl 2, which is also available on HBO Max
until the end of this month.
So without further ado, let's get into our conversation of My Girl with actress Shannon Woodward. You better believe I also asked her about Last of Us Part 2, my favorite game of all time, as we are not that far removed at this point still from its 1-year anniversary. So we chatted a little bit about that, and let's hit it. Let's hit it.
All right. We are about to kick off another 2-movie franchise. Sometimes we do series that go on for 7 movies, sometimes for 9, but we've done a couple of 2-movie franchises in a row here as we begin talking about the My Girl saga. And to do that, we have a very special guest. You know her from Raising Hope and Westworld and The Last of Us Part 2. Welcome to the We Enjoy podcast, Shannon Woodward.
Hello.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being here to dig into the mythology, the all of the saga of My Girl.
I appreciated how the sequel it kept such strict continuity to the first movie, and that they didn't go completely off the rails.
That's right. What is your memories, Shannon, of first seeing My Girl, which is, I guess, celebrating its 30th anniversary this year?
I mean, I'm trying to think, there was a lot about the movie I didn't remember, but obviously it's all the stuff with Thomas J. I mean, it's you love Macaulay Culkin. And I was really young when this first movie came out. I was older when the sequel came out. So I don't have as much of an impression of the first movie as I did of the sequel, which is weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll talk about the cultural impact of Macaulay Culkin and how it reflected in that film. I did realize I'd be remiss though before we jump into My Girl. It's also we just celebrated the year anniversary of The Last of Us Part 2, and we happen to be sitting here, Shannon, with a very, very big fan of that series. With Matt.
Yes, my favorite game of all time, no question mark. Like I've said it a few times, just how much that game just resonated with me and still sits with me to this day. Coming off of the year anniversary, what have been some of your reactions to fans just still beaming about this game, like, and replaying it? People go back and this is a heavy game. This is not something with, it's not sort of a sunshine and rainbows joyride, but the fact that people do go back and replay through this to feel, you could say, the agony over again. What does that feel like for you? Or some people are even just waiting to play it on PS5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of the first game. I ended up in the sequel because Hallie Gross, who wrote on the first season of Westworld, is, who co-wrote the game with Neil. And, we had like a brief conversation about her freelancing at Naughty Dog when we were in between the first and second seasons. And she was like, oh, I'm just doing this like brief stint at Naughty Dog. And I was like, what is Naughty Dog making? Like, because the new Uncharted game had just come out, and they had Lost Legacy coming out, and it was, I think, very imminently coming out that year. So I was like, what are you writing over there? And I was like, what are you writing? Like The Last of Us 2? And the game wasn't announced yet. And she just got like really awkward. And I know that face because it'd be like when people ask us about Westworld. And I was like, oh my God, listen, I won't say anything. That's amazing. I'm such a big fan. Like I would like die to have a line in the game. And I meant like as an NPC or something. And then she kind of started trading little messages back and forth between me and Neil. And she was like, oh, he loves you in Westworld. I was like, oh, that's so kind. I mean, I'm such a big fan. And then like a few months later, she was like, we were at a game night and she was like, there's a role if you would like be willing to audition. And I was like, yeah, of course I would. And they hired me after not too late. I only had to read twice. I read once and Ashley wasn't in town. So I read with Laura Bailey, who was playing Ellie, which was weird. And she was amazing. But I was like, I knew the first game so well that I was like, you're not Ellie. But then right before the Christmas break, Ashley came back from New York because she was shooting Blind Spot, and we read together. And they read a couple of other girls also, but I remember like it was such a natural fit that when I left, I accidentally was like, "See you guys later." I mean, thanks for seeing me. Sorry. And they texted me like an hour later and told me that I got the job, but. So because of it, like that's how I got involved. And so, that's part of the answer to your question, which is just, I'm such a big fan that Neil pitched me the game after they hired me and kind of gave me a play-by-play. So I did kind of get an experience. It was only a 2-hour experience where he really walked me through the whole story and what the game was going to be and what it was going to be about. And he had lots of, reference photos and all kinds of stuff. And I was, so moved by it.
Did you get that kind of walkthrough on Westworld?
No, I'll just say no. But I'm glad it was always going to be divisive, but that's because it's such good storytelling. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be in the game and why I'd never, stalked my way into any other game was that I really felt like they elevated the concept of a novel in the first game. It has this other dimension where you really feel like you made those choices. Like you feel like you are those characters, not just like you're a third party kind of witnessing it. You feel like you've made those choices. So to really take that to another level with the second game, that's no matter what, people were going to feel a lot, and people tend to not understand why they feel things sometimes too. So I'm glad people like it generally. It's amazing to be a part of it. I'm such a fan. I what you said about, you feel like you make these choices because
yeah, I think the reason why it does sit with people for so long is because, yeah, you're not just watching Ellie make a choice or Abby make a choice, but yeah, you do feel like you are an active participant who could have made that choice in a certain regard. Eric and I have a deal going on where I have to read some Sandman comics before the Sandman show comes out. And then he's going to play Last of Us before the Last of Us series comes out.
Oh, yeah. You need to do that.
I know. I don't play a lot of games, but
Eric, just play this one. I'm telling you,
I will.
In terms of storytelling, it's like there's really not much that's on that same kind of level. There are a few, but not many.
And even play it on story mode, man. Like, even if you're not like an active gamer all the time. Yeah, just like...
I'll definitely play on easy, trust me. The funny thing is, I bought it. Like, it was on sale and I bought it. So it's in this room. I could go over and play it right now.
Well, Shannon and I will talk about My Girl, and you start playing.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm jealous for you, Eric. It's like you're gonna have such a good time.
I know I will. I know it's totally my cup of tea.
Well, with my urges to replay part 2 is like, should I just play 1 and 2 together? You know, that's how it sort of works. And in going on a sort of a wiki page for Dina, I learned a new word, which is Deuteronomist, which is the character who is second most important to the protagonist's drama.
Okay.
And who is also like Thomas J. in My Girl. You're
It's
both
true.
deuterogynous. Yes.
Deuterogynous.
Yes.
I think that word is very popular. Working at fandom, I do see that word a lot on our wikis.
It was probably
Didgeridoo and deuterogenous.
That's right.
The deuterogenous zone is where.
Yeah, it does sound like
that was the alternate title.
Yeah.
It does sound just as
Deuterogenous
sexy.
DLC when.
Right? It's coming this fall. So let us travel now to, I was going to say 1991, but really to 1972.
Yeah.
To Pennsylvania. This was Matt was telling me right before you came on, Shannon. This was one of his first things that threw him was that this was a period piece.
Okay, so to preface all this, I had never seen either of these films. I could have seen My Girl. I was hyper aware of its existence. You know, stemming from all this, I know about Anna Klumsky and Macaulay Culkin and the Bees and the Can't See Without His Glasses. I know like the touchstones, the pop culture touchstones of the movie. And but I had completely either didn't know or had blocked out the supporting cast of this movie in my brain. And also that it was a period piece. Maybe I just didn't realize it from the trailer. And then even still, the music that's plays throughout this movie, I didn't realize it was the 70s until I was watching All in the Family. I just thought it was the 60s because they're singing like songs from the early 60s. So a lot of this movie threw me in a good way. It was very surprising. And then, of course, I say to myself, because I know who dies, because I know the twist, I'm not going to cry. I just wept the last 15 minutes of this movie. So what a summer for young Vader's Stoltenfuss. What's her name?
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Sultanfuss. Yeah,
Sultanfuss.
Veda Sultanfuss. I was telling Eric also before we started recording here that I have a cousin named Veda after Veda Sultanfuss. And her name is just as much a mouthful because her name is Veda Gerasmic.
Amazing.
Either way, great names all around.
So,
great name. I love that name.
Shannon, for you, Veda, Anna Klumsky, a few years older than you. So was she sort of aspirational? They definitely gave her sort of like a quirky look. She had her own style. She's a very funny character. Were you drawn to Veda as a kid?
I mean, the thing, again, I don't really remember watching this movie when I was a kid because she's 11 and a half in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I must have been like 8 or 9. And so my parents didn't take me to see it. I do remember I saw it, probably like rented it from Blockbuster or something at some point, but I didn't I remember Anna and stuff more from the second movie. So I didn't have any connection with this personally, the first movie. There's a bunch of things that I didn't remember that applies to both, but yeah, the period thing, because it's like if they didn't say it was 1972 or whatever, or 1970 in the first, and like mention every once in a while just like old Nixon or something like that, then it really could have been 1991.
Yeah,
like there was no reason it needed to be, and they had some cool cars and like the buses sometimes are different, but otherwise you're kind of like, could have just in 1991.
It's kind of like how the new It movies could only the latest time you could do the It movies is the 80s. Because then before it was what, Eric? The 60s?
The
50s?
book is the 50s or the flashbacks, and the 80s or present day.
Because once you start getting into cell phones and internet,
you're right. That's what changes everything.
Everything changes. And so
but 1990, they didn't have that.
Yeah, everything before that, I guess kids played outside, sunrise to sunset, and then just came inside to bathe and eat. So
and knock down beehives when they should not do that.
And take poetry classes because they're obsessed with their grown male teachers.
That's right.
And think about death nonstop and go to the doctor every 4 minutes. None of these things I remember.
The other thing I thought was funny at the very beginning of the movie, only because it felt like a rewrite where they couldn't figure something out, is she begins the movie. Something that really threw me rewatching it is she talks to the camera at the very beginning.
It's a device that they use both times.
Yes.
And it doesn't work. First of all, it's because one of the best things about, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's Anna or Anna, and I don't want to missay her name. She's terrific. But one of the things that she's really great with is that she's great at not being affected. Right. Mm-hmm. She's really good at listening, and in all of her best scenes, like that's what's really special about her. Not smarming to the camera. Right. Like you hire a different actor for that. Like that's like a different kind of kid. Like
that's a Zach Morris. Yeah. That's
very weird. Like also like I looked up this director and the writer, and the writer basically never does anything again.
Yeah, I think wrote like early drafts of Brady Bunch movie, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it. But like, it must have been a spec, right? Like,
yeah, it was called originally Born Jaundiced,
which is not a title that was ever going to stick around.
Which is as good as Deuterogenist. Yeah.
It's just like it's very weird. Like the little things like that about the movie are the things where you're like, that was weird, and that's definitely, it feels like a filmmaker choice. Like, it easily could have just been voiceover, but also,
which there's a little bit of, but not.
So the voiceover doesn't really work for me either because it's so few and far between.
It's weird, but it's all a crutch. And also, especially in the first movie, you have her writing poetry and talking to a class, right? So you actually could have used that as a device from the beginning and just had her talking to the class, reading a paper, and it could have been the same monologue that she was doing, and you could have gotten more out of it, I thought. But also I haven't made a movie. What am I going to tell Howard what's wrong with the movie?
Well, I do wonder with the occasional narration, the little asides, if it was just all thought of in post, because they're kind of one-liners usually, and maybe someone thought like this, there needs to be a little more humor, a little more jokiness.
Yeah, that stuff in post makes sense, but the opening bit.
Yeah.
Especially, by the way, the title tells me that was really important to the writer, right? Because she's like, I was born jaundiced is the first line of the movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They kept it in.
It feels like it was like the thing that couldn't be lost. And that, then I think later they added some VO stuff to be like, it's weird that we lose this perspective.
Yeah, and then but they still continue that in part 2, like you said, and then so she's
and then there's no VO really for the rest of it. It's just that opening bit.
Yeah, it's like these tiny. It's like it goes so long without it that when it happens again, it kind of throws you because
honestly, what I really got from watching these movies back to back is that in present day, first of all, these movies obviously would never have been made, right? But they're a television show. It's a television show, don't you think?
Yeah, there's an episodic quality to it. Sure,
it would have been great. It's a hit. Yeah. I love that show.
Yeah, we'll talk. The second one, when we talk about the second one, we'll talk about how that one I think has a little more forward momentum because it's a quest movie. But this first one, especially, it's a coming of age story. But you're right; it totally could be a TV show.
And it's about death and loss.
When did Wonder Years go off the air, Eric?
Wonder Years was airing while this came out.
Yeah, so it was still going on.
Yes. Okay. I mean, you definitely you feel that right. Yeah, you feel that influence, that late '80s influence of Stand By Me and Wonder Years, and frankly, it's a place where we still are lacking. It's like because you so rarely get the female perspective on these young coming of age stories. So I think they probably were thinking about all of that. They're like, What if she talked to the camera like Ferris Bueller or Zach Morris? What if there's narration like Stand By Me or Wonder Years? What if we put it both in? You know, so kind of all.
And then it's like Stand By Me, except it's want to see a dead body. It's want to see 17 dead bodies or so on.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally in a funeral parlor.
Want to see my friend die.
It's This Is Us meets oh my gosh, what 6 Feet Under.
Yes.
Griffin Dunn's on This Is Us, I believe.
Is he?
I think he had a recurring role on that show.
Crossover.
This it kind of evaporates by the second half of this movie, but at the beginning she's all about I can't breathe, I have cancer, hypochondriac in a way, but also it reminded me of show Anna Klumsky was on, Hannibal season 1, with I can't remember the psychological affliction, what the name was, but remember the character Eric, who I don't know if you've seen Hannibal, Shannon, but
it's been a while, but I binged that whole thing.
There's a character who's in a couple episodes who thinks she's dead.
Yeah.
She thinks she's like she's a ghost and no one can see her. And so there was a little bit of that going on and then especially later on when they said she wants to be dying, so she's not afraid of everything that surrounds her, which is death constantly. There is like this morbid underbelly to this movie. And then it all really culminates at the end in this chain of events that just, demolishes Veda and myself when I was watching it. So,
and Anna Klumsky, yeah, she's great. I'm obviously like a huge fan of this movie and very funny. And like when they like when she's just laying on the kitchen floor, that made me laugh. And sort of selling this girl who has some major preteen angst going on here. But I thought she was, I remember it at the time, like obviously she got a lot of attention as like the big find, and I well deserved. So
who I didn't remember, Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis is wonderful.
Active memory of them in this movie. Yeah, Trading Places reunion. They were in this in the sequel, a little bit in the sequel, I guess the first act, but just a really interesting. I wouldn't say go so far as to say opposites attract, but like he's really a emotionally distant, but caring, but also doesn't talk about things. Early 70s father who we would come to find out in the sequel, like is only into whirlwind romances. But and then she is sort of this freer spirit. She lives in a camper. She's sort of just, looking for her next stop in life. And I think they work super great together. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed that. And I liked the way that she immediately takes to Veda and that relationship and is able to see the things that Veda may need that the father isn't aware of.
She has a very centering presence too, even that, I do think the movie is well written and I do think it holds up in a lot of ways. But Jamie Lee Curtis was a really smart casting choice because, even on its face, this character is like a makeup artist who didn't realize she was at a funeral parlor, even though she went to a funeral parlor in order, there are a lot of things like that where you're like, well, okay, well, whatever. I mean, sure, she probably noticed the sign, but maybe she didn't. And, there's a version of that character that really could have come off pretty ditzy. And then it was the turn was that she was great with Veda. But Jamie Lee Curtis just has this grounded quality that really starts to ground the movie too. And and all of the casting choices were in that zone, which is great. But her and Dan Aykroyd and it's very charming. It works well. And Jamie Lee Curtis really I was rewatching it being she's wonderful in this. Just it's not like a showcase for her or anything, but she's just wonderful in it.
I don't even know at this point, if we were used to her being in Family Fare, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about Halloween, Fish Called Wanda, Trading Places, stuff like that. But just to be in this type of coming of age movie was something, I would have never expected for her back then had I known she was in this movie.
She has to play a thing that sometimes can sound kind of cheesy, but she does it really well, which is she's earthy, this character. And she's just she's not in no way is she a ditzy character, but she just kind of a little bit go with the flow. Yes, it's an opposites attract thing with her.
It's weird that they imply she's kind of ditzy though with the makeup. He made her look like a harlot. Like,
Well,
there's a lot of things
that's one
like
of my-
that in
he's
the
harsh.
writing, it could have been really different. You know
He's
what I mean?
harsh. Like he's Harry, like he watches Archie Bunker, and I don't know if he's like, I love this guy because what a satire on American prejudice, or I can relate to this guy. Like literally, like
Right.
what does he love about Archie Bunker? He walks around playing the tuba. In the sequel, he's singing that "My House is a very, very, very fine house" song. Like I didn't know that's a song that you could just sing while walking around, but he's super old-fashioned, and she is portrayed as more of a modern woman of, you know, the 1972 era. And I guess that is both of them seem very antiquated, but in that era, they are sort of clashing a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, I don't know if they were doing this consciously at all. The casting, I think, most of all, is like you said, a Trading Places reunion. But to me, I also struck out that like, oh, Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis kind of broke out in the 70s. So I enjoyed the probably unintentional meta aspect of having these movies take place in like the era.
When was Driving Miss Daisy? Because Dan Aykroyd at
2
this
years
point
before
was he was doing these supporting dramatic roles. Yeah.
that was 2 years before. By the way, didn't seem to you guys like remember a few years ago? I mean, people still do it once in a while, but a few years ago it was like a real big thing to take comedic trailers or family trailers and recut them to look like a horror movie or vice versa. I was like, man, you could do a really good My Girl one, because she's like, I'm afraid I killed my mother, and she's like screaming when she's like the door's locked.
The whole thing is actually much darker than I remember it being.
It is. Yes.
That's what surprised me a lot about it. And on that regard, Eric, whoever cut this was like 10 years ago. The Shining into a rom-com with Peter Gabriel, Salisbury Hill is top notch. But that was the thing. I didn't know it had to do. It was like 6 Feet Under, like you said, Shannon. I didn't know had to deal with death and this much, and also that her mother died in childbirth, and you know she's got that sort of looming over her in a way that her dad just completely never decided to have a talk to her about it, and doesn't seem to remember much about her mother either, and that's in the sequel. But
it is like, weird. They never talk about it, and it's weird in the first movie. It's very strange, and kind of made me feel the weight of it being made in the 90s in that way, where you're like, well, you want it to be a girl just because you're like, it's progressive, but then the truth is, and she's the lead character, but then she's still just a vessel for these other stories in so many ways, by like not explaining what happened with her mother, really going into it, or like, it's like, I'm afraid I killed her. You're like, that's actually like a much better scene. It's her talking about how she really feels that way, but we never get that.
Yeah.
It's super dark and progressive in some ways, and then other ways you're like, don't worry about it.
Right. I don't even know what to make of the transformation she makes by the end of the summer and the start of the school year, because she is in these movies, especially in this first one, a movie tomboy, and she also like hangs around with Thomas J all the time and gets made fun of by the other girls in town, except for I believe Judy, who winds up as her friend at the end. But then at the end, she's like, oh, look, now I have a friend who's female and I'm wearing a dress, and like the school year has started and I'm different now. And over the summer, she had her first period. And so I don't know if like what they're treating the tomboy aspect like in this movie, or how we're supposed to feel about that. If it's something she was supposed to.
I don't know that there's anything about her that's tomboyish, other than she wears shorts and doesn't find the female people interesting in her class because they're mean to her. So she just tries to belittle them intellectually. But you know, I don't see her as having any of those qualities, other than she doesn't hang out. But I will say I agree with you in the sense that like having her be in a dress and suddenly having a female friend, you're like, how did that happen? And why is she in a dress? And does that make her a woman? Like, what's
it? I didn't know if the movie was trying to like sell us on a certain message of a coming of age message for a lead girl
femininity.
Yeah.
I agree that ending bit, it did act like that last bit. It's just like in a montage where she's with her female friend and they're getting on their bikes and she's in a dress. And I was like, I don't know where we got that jump from, but like the girl's just not mean to her anymore.
It didn't. I felt like I needed a little bit more there, but I understand that we're sort of cutting to the quick at the end and like I need to wrap it up in a happy manner.
Yeah, I didn't think they were trying to sell her as a tomboy as much as just she's the quirky girl, and the other girls think she's weird, so they don't want to hang out with her.
I mean, just being like doing what her dad does for a living and living in that house is probably enough to make her sort of the Boo Radley of the neighborhood. But yeah.
Yeah. And also that she constantly thinks she's like, and reenacting like death I mean, she's very neurotic and likes to be in charge. She's bossy of all those boys, like from the jump, and she's just messing with them, showing them her grandmother that has Alzheimer's that is constantly singing, which is just like, there are a lot of things like that I just like, didn't remember that. And the whole opening is that, right? But it just never really comes back around. She sings at the table, which is funny.
Well, she does want, whether it's that, like getting the boys to pay her to see her grandmother, who she pretends is a corpse, or as like a reanimated corpse, or if she's doing her ailments and laying on the floor, she's seeking an attention she's not getting from her father or from those around her. And she gets the attention from Thomas J. And then she also has a super duper crush on Griffin Dunn's teacher character, who at that age she envisions like she's going to marry this guy. And she even like wonders if he's moving into the house with anyone. Cutting to the end a bit, like the procession of how all of the tragedies sort of befall her at the end. And then it peaks with like her running to him. And he's like, I
have a girlfriend. Like that was that's the obstacle.
Yeah. That was the obstacle. As long as he didn't have anyone.
He's dating someone, not that she's 11 and a half and he's Griffin Dunn.
Well, as we learned in the movie, it's illegal to date a teacher or marry a teacher because th'll just give you A's.
Right. Tommy makes a good point. Yeah. I was like cringing me, like, what are they going to say? And I'm like, okay, all right. I will say that talking about it now, and I'm sure this is why like the pitch for the sequel ended up being all about her mother, is that it is really wild that like she's seeking this attention. She's really in pain. She is clearly in pain. And instead of ever dealing with what it is that's causing her pain, is that her mother's dead and she doesn't have a mother, and she misses her and she feels guilty and sad. We never get to it.
Because something else happens that now she has to deal with. It becomes
about him. It becomes about, Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis's relationship. And it is about like, the teacher having a girlfriend, but she's in pain.
Yeah.
And then she suffers more pain and more loss. And then we never get to the root of the issue, which is why the whole second movie is that, because I'm sure somebody was like, guys, it is weird. But we can do the movie about that. Okay.
And I feel like the closest we got to this in the movie is the scene toward the end when Jamie Lee Curtis like yells at Harry. When Shelley yells at Harry about like, you have to pay attention to the living. You have to, go to your daughter and talk to her in some regard, in some way, console her however you can. That was as close as we got. And again, like to your point, Shannon, it's was about Thomas J at that point.
Yeah. It comes too late, or like, and it never comes up that like, but again, like that's one of the things that I think really dates the movie. And also again, using the child as a catalyst for these other things instead of, to me, when we're talking about the themes out loud now, I'm like, actually, the whole thing was about the loss of her mother and then the abandonment of her father not talking to her about it. And he never does.
Yeah. She gets, the only thing she gets in this movie is she goes, did I kill my mother? And he's like, no. And
she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll knock it off then.
Yeah, I just needed someone to tell me I didn't, and that's enough for me.
I should have asked you that years ago.
Also, I like I said, I didn't expect to cry because I knew the twist ahead of time, but it still really worked. I think the tragedy that sort of unspools at the end, it works in a way where I don't know. I think without that, you don't really have this coming of age movie. She's
also able to grieve openly. And so the idea, she's also grieving her mother, I think was probably what the writer would have argued, is that she's realizing that grief through losing her friend.
Yeah.
It's very startling that maybe he's the only funeral game in town, but like, does Thomas J's funeral have to be in her home? Like,
I know
next
that.
day?
Could it be outside at bare minimum?
Right? I just want you to remember seeing your dead friend in our house.
Come downstairs. Your
Right.
friend's in the casket. Yeah.
I was just like, oh God, brutal. And they're like standing in the back, like they weren't invited. Like even Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis are in the back. They're like, they know him.
Right.
Also, Dan Aykroyd has his character saying like inappropriate or doesn't think through things. I thought he had a really notable one in that scene when she's breaking down because she's like, he was going to be an acrobat, and he's like, he's gone. I'm like, she knows he's gone.
Yeah.
She's
There's a
saying
lot
what
of, he's gone, Veda.
It's
Don't
not
talk
like she's
about
saying-
acrobats anymore.
Like she's acknowledging he's dead.
He was going to be an acrobat. Not anymore.
Right. Well, I guess he better cancel that. Let's since we're there, and it's so hard not to talk about this movie. Yeah, it's like obviously his death is a big thing. Now, the thing I most remember about this movie in sort of the pop culture sense is, this movie was Macaulay Culkin's first movie since Home Alone.
Yeah.
And opened almost exactly a year later. So they have this kid who, is now in one of this giant hit. No one thought Home Alone was going to be this mega blockbuster it became. And I remember the ad campaign was pretty insidious considering what the movie is going to happen. And the biggest thing I remember so vividly, because I think I saw it after I saw the movie, which was a giant standee in movie theater lobby. And it said "My Girl" in the center, and on each side it had Anna Klumsky and it had Macaulay Culkin like "Yay!" like putting out their arms, and it said "Mac is back." Okay. They actually used that as a tagline.
No.
Yes.
I thought you said in the center there were just going to be these bees between.
No, there was no.
Oh my
there was no
God.
foreshadow. It just was Mac is back. Yes.
That's crazy.
And so they were like, I get it on one, like if you're, just like being a like merciless like marketer that's like, hey, we have this kid. He's like a giant movie star at this moment. But considering we are going to watch him, like the thing you can joke about with this movie is, wow, what a thing to traumatize kids with. It's like,
also just so tasteless. He's like a child. He's like a baby child. Like, can you imagine if like after Room, the next movie Jacob Tremblay did, they were like, Jakey's home. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what?
Yes. Yeah. And
it's
then you watch
exploitative. It's exploited.
Yeah.
He's literally a child.
It's 100% just like them being like, hey, we're going to market this movie one way. We don't care that the movie is something totally different. Because, he's very good in the movie. And of course, once you watch it again, or even for you, Matt, because you knew he was going to die, it's like, there's a lot of foreshadowing. Like he literally is like, what do you think it's like, heaven? Like he's he's like,
and then, with Chekhov's beehive
subtle.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that scene, his glasses fall to the ground like Martha Wayne's pearls in Crime Alley. There's just in slow motion.
Right.
And like
These have always brought me luck.
and it happens, I think, like just an hour after their first kiss. Like from the first kiss, he goes to find the ring.
Well, she shouldn't have lost her chastity.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought there's almost a Friday the 13th sex equals death thing, except first kiss equals death here.
Well, like, you killed your mother and now you killed him too.
Right. I guess you're just this plague, Veda.
You're a harlot.
Right.
Because I figured that would be
period?
something that would linger too, like the fact that the first boy she ever kissed, or the first person she ever kissed, an hour later was dead, looking for a ring for her.
Right.
And then we'll talk about the La Brea Tar Pits of season 2. But I mean, season 2, the sequel.
Season 2 is what we should call it, because like
You said, it's a
whole
TV
cast,
show.
It should have been a TV show.
If Netflix existed, it would probably have been a TV show.
And there was no attempt in the aughts or anything to bring this back as a TV show, because that was sort of
actually, by the way, I have no idea, but I was like, whoever owns this, like, I'm surprised they're not trying to make
it's
a Netflix family YA show, My Girl,
where Klumsky now plays Shelley's role, or something like that.
I think the bees and the dying thing, like, kind of people will just be like, are they going to kill somebody? Well, then why is it My Girl? That's what happens,
Yeah, but this time it's murder hornets.
Right? Yeah. Now they'd really foreshadow it. Like the trailer would have like bees swarming.
The exact logo would be just, it would be like swarm. Some interesting people in the supporting cast here, not just Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis, but Griffin Dunn, who at the time I would have only known from American Werewolf in London, and maybe a few other things. I have never seen After Hours, which is what he got.
Yeah, this was after Hours, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought. He looked like it was older than After Hours. I mean, After Hours is a big deal.
I knew it from Who's That Girl with Madonna, which I had the soundtrack to.
That's right. And Richard Mazer, I believe is how you say his name. And then he has a much larger role in the sequel, but he plays Harry's brother. And I knew him from One Day at a Time, season 1. Because I love that show.
I don't remember that, but wasn't he in wasn't he in It? He was
in the 80s miniseries It. So that One Day at a Time, and a movie that I loved in the 80s as a kid was Shoot to Kill with Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger and Richard Mazer.
I don't know how many little kids can say they love that movie, but
it's all in the title, Shoot to Kill.
Right. I guess so. One thing that really stuck out to me, just as I remember kind of at the time, it was even a kind of weird thing, was that they do the like Blood Brothers thing, only because we were coming out of the 80s and AIDS is a big fear. So it seemed like, ooh, like they're doing like, let's mix our blood together, like fairly. It
was around that period where I remember people were still doing that when I was a kid. And it was around that time. And I remember my parents being like, don't do that. Don't mix your blood with somebody else's. And I was like, why? They're like, it's just bad. You can get really sick. And I was like, and people would be like, you want to be blood brothers? Like, absolutely not. But it was happening enough that it was like common that my parents were like, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like it was just that time. Like I feel like afterwards it stops happening, right? Because then kids start getting educated about AIDS and they start doing it young in school. I think it was like 4th grade they were teaching us, and then you're like, we're not doing that anymore.
Right, let's stop that.
And even though like if we go back to 72, I'm sure it was such a very common thing. But yeah, when the movie was made, I'm sure they were trying to evoke the era. But at this point, even when you're talking about like, hey, Thomas J, pick your scab and get that bleeding out.
Right. More blood. There were one line there was sort of sense memories I had of seeing this movie in the theater, besides everyone sobbing, including the he needs his glasses. But I also remembered huge on and don't come back for 5 to 7 days. After she gets her first period. Yeah. Okay. That was a very well-received line, I remember, by opening weekend of my girl audiences. And very well delivered by Miss Klumsky there. The other actor that was familiar to me is there was the sort of hippie couple in her writing class.
So are you talking about the late, great Tom Villard?
Yes, from Popcorn, the horror movie Popcorn. So I remember, and he had a very distinct way of speaking, and
One Crazy Summer. That's what I knew him from.
Yep. And One Crazy Summer as well. He's very funny in this movie, and there's funny. It's an interesting movie where you're like, wow, I don't know quite who the audience was. Like clearly, like I said, they marketed it towards little kids, especially with Macaulay Culkin, because there's some funny.
It's not it's really an adult film.
It is. That's
which sounds like porn. It's not a porn, but I mean, it's for grown-ups.
Right. I think you're right, because like even some of the stuff with Jamie Lee Curtis and Dan Aykroyd when they're like alone together and working out their issues, I'm like, well, if this was a kids movie, we wouldn't be spending so much time with them, doing this.
Well, that's why the second movie,
a family drama.
We don't really see the second movie. Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis having a lot of just scenes together as a couple, like this movie, like that movie.
There's a few at the beginning. There's a few, but then she leaves, and then we have tons of scenes with the uncle.
Yeah.
They replace them with them. Yeah.
It's like a sitcom,
but they have a whole drama.
Yeah, like put a ring on it. Yeah.
I did laugh. A couple lines I laughed at were, again, a weird line to have if it were truly a kids movie, but it was funny when he says, feel my aura, and she says, I don't think I'm allowed to, which is funny if weird to have this movie. And then I do again another line that I was like, she just has really good delivery on is the Dad, didn't you say you needed prunes real bad in the supermarket? She does a very good delivery.
I found
a lot of fun one-liners.
Yeah,
amusing when she's acting out during that period, during the prune period, and when they're at the carnival and the bumper cars turn into this death trap scenario where all of a sudden it's Jamie Lee Curtis is like, she's like super worried about the aggression that Veda is showing on the bumper cars. Like It was funny because bumper cars I've always considered fairly harmless, but they turned it into this really sort of almost this scene with a lot of violent subtext through it.
Again, they can cut a great horror trailer if no one has. They really should, because you could play some really intense music over the basketball going down the steps and the bumper cars and the bees.
The basketball scene is a lot like the scene from Home Alone.
Right.
True, yes.
So when I was watching the credits, there is a guy who I think he's in the carnival. I can't remember. It's either clerk or carnival, who is Edgar Allan Poe IV.
What?
And I looked him up. He has one-liners in like 5 or 6 movies, and he claims to be the last living descendant of Edgar Allan Poe, though Poe did not have any children. So he's like a, distant nephew or something. But I thought that was funny.
That is really random and interesting.
Yeah. I was like watching, I was like, Edgar Allan Poe IV? Excuse me? And
what an extra weird layer
Google
of morbidity to this whole movie.
Yeah.
This whole, like, everything that's about death in this movie, and then there's that little Poe Easter egg in there.
That's right.
When just going back to Griffin Dunne for a second, I'd like to point out that at the time in 1972, I guess, when this movie's taking place, the way that they portray hippies or people who take feeling seminars or something is always accompanied by that sitar music. Yeah. And they use it in this movie and in the sequel. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same track. But then Griffin Dunne's teacher character, on the final day of his summer English class, his creative writing class, when she comes in and reads her Weeping Willow poem, but he is talking to the class before she walks in, and he wants them to be a thunderstorm. And he's really doing his Seize the Day, his Dead Poet Society, like, send you out into the world, my adults. And he says, and someone asked, I believe it's Tom Villard, who says, what does that mean? And he said, I want you to be dangerous and unpredictable and make a lot of noise. And I know that quote, and I didn't know what it was from because I, growing up, had an Anthrax album, which is a metal band. And they had an album called Sound of White Noise. Eric, that's the album that has a couple of Twin Peaks inspired tracks.
All right.
And their
did not expect the Anthrax to come up on this.
Their last song on this album is called This Is Not an Exit. And after the song ends, like sometimes there's a little extra at the end of a cassette in that era, is that Griffin Dunne quote from the movie. They have a My Girl. I didn't know that until I just watched this movie, that's what it was from. Like
Anthrax sampled Griffin Dunne from My Girl?
Yes.
Oh,
that's amazing.
That is.
They have him saying be dangerous and unpredictable and make a lot of noise, which is sounds very metal. So
I really hope Anthrax went to see My Girl together. And they were like, man, that really speaks to us.
That's wild.
That is very, very wild.
All right. So there's the first kiss. There's death by bees. It's very emotional. She won't come out of her room, but I guess it's only for a day because, like we mentioned, the funeral is the next day.
Yeah.
And so this is all happening very fast for her, and it's almost like the dad, you don't understand at that point why the dad's like, how you said, how coldly he's like, he's gone. It's been a day. And he's already like, well, she should get over this and just come down to the funeral.
Just like I got over her mother.
That's what it feels like when you see the sequel.
He's gone now. What? Come on.
Thomas J is past tense.
And Harry
get a new friend.
He's such a, we don't even know, we've mentioned how they probably never spoke about her mother during this whole time that she's been alive for 11 and a half years. He seems to have made no attempt to move on with his life, find anyone else until Shelley just wound up on his doorstep. He had no interest in anything except doing work and watching All in the Family. So he seems, I don't even know. I think he was just waiting for death himself. I think there's a...
Well, in caring for the mother, right? His mother.
And caring for his mother, who before,
I guess it stays in character that he's not outwardly loving with her. Veda seems to show a little more interest, but he's putting a roof over everyone, but not providing any love, any outward love, we should say.
And so she cries at the funeral. the famous scene. She runs to her teacher, finds out he's getting married to. It's a summer of engagements. It appears that he has met somebody and is engaged to be married at the same
Annie.
pace.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
No, at the same pace as her father. Everyone just meets these women, and then 2 weeks later they're going to get married.
Well, in the 70s, all you had to do was pick.
That's true. You're just like,
True.
I choose you.
This is Annie. Who's Annie? Well,
I met her last week at the grocery store.
no, he says something like, what is she? It goes on. It really goes on. And he really seems to be entertaining this, right? Like he knows she has a crush on him, but also even the way he talks to her is like, I'm sorry, I'm taken.
Right. Yeah. If I wasn't, we could have a discussion.
But that's feeding into what you were talking about, Shannon, about how like that's the only reason why she doesn't have a shop is because he did find someone else.
Yeah, exactly. The problem
Yeah.
is that he's busy.
Yeah, that's not the message you should be sending to her.
On a side note, when I was Googling Edgar Allan Poe IV, I did check to see if Edgar Allan Poe had children, which he did not. But I did notice that he married his first cousin who was 13 years old. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there.
Like, what's
Jerry
his
Lee
face?
Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis, yeah.
Because Edgar Allan Poe was not taken.
There you go. Did you guys think it was, I mean, I guess in some ways it's to the movie's credit. It just was a little bit odd though, that usually the whole thing with the ring, the fact that he goes back to find the ring and that is what leads to his death. You would think that would be a I am guilty for his death thing. You know, she's always been worried about her mother.
I assume that would make her feel 10 times worse.
Yeah.
About everything.
So it was so strange because she and her dad do have their scene where they have the most they're going to, you know, it seems like they're going to talk about the mom and stuff. And she's in a slightly better place. And then right after that, Thomas J's mom is like, look, we found this ring. I guess he went back for it. And I thought, oh no, now she's going to lose it again.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I
But she
didn't kill my
doesn't.
mom, but I did kill Thomas J. Yeah.
right. She doesn't, which I guess shows growth, but it was, you would have thought the ring would have come in earlier just to kind of deal with it all at the same time.
Well, Eric, she
Also,
was
did
wearing
he
a
not
dress
know
when
that
she
people
died.
can be allergic to bees? Because he knows about the chocolates. But then, like, the bee, he plays with it the first time. I was like, oh, God, does it happen this fast? And then I was like, oh, no, it happens again later. He goes back.
Yeah. Also, at first I thought, hey, that's kind of an asshole move that they're hitting down this beehive. And then it turns out they thought it was empty. Like that's supposed to be the whole thing, is that they thought it was a dead hive, but it wasn't.
Man,
Mhm.
outdoor kids, man.
Yeah, but then he does go back where it is. So he was really pushing it there. with
And he
his,
kicked it again, didn't he? Or
I
he
think
threw
so.
something at
Yeah,
it?
he did. He throws something at the end and then they jump in the lake or whatever.
Oh, also, I'm like, was this an intentional reference? Did they say, hey, Macaulay, it'd be great if you said this or not? Because it seems really weird, which is, you know, one of his famous things he says in Home Alone. He goes, yes. And
He did it again.
When he finds the ring, he says yes. And then a second later yells no, because the bees all come at him. So I was like, was this a strange, like,
Well,
I think he
Mac
shot
is
this-
back.
Mac is back.
My favorite Macaulay Culkin thing ever is from Uncle Buck. And it's at the beginning of Uncle Buck. It's in like the first 10 minutes when the parents are packing up to leave. And he's like running through the house. He goes, Mom! And she's like, what? He goes, what's the other word for, what is it? What's the other word for balls or something like that? And he goes, nuts. And then he walks away.
He's great.
It's just so, it's just such an aside, but like, that's the bit where you're
He
like,
made me laugh in this movie. He had a really fun little smile when
he's adorable.
I only surround myself with people I find intellectually stimulating, and he has like a little grin. Yeah, the two of them are great together. Though it is setting you up for this horrific incident that will happen at the end and rock Veda's world.
Eric, he's gone. Okay.
He's gone. He's gone.
Give it up, man.
Just deal with it. Just
Now, because she feels so guilty, does she have to become an acrobat?
maybe if they'd done a third one, perhaps they could have gone there.
Or the
with it.
TV series, yeah. The
That's
streaming
right.
series.
Also, I thought it was funny when she they show her, she goes out, you know, she's all upset, understandably, and she runs out and she goes to the tree and she's like swinging, but she can't hold on very well to it. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be like she falls and hurts herself incident? Like, is her day about to get even worse? But then they just kind of cut away. So I guess she got down from the tree safely.
That was their climbing tree. She knows the ins and outs of that one.
All right. All right.
And then it ends with, really strangely, I don't know what type of gag you call this. I always call them wedding singer jokes because of the movie where they're like, don't jinx Van Halen or they'll break up. Anyway, it ends with the Nixon.
The Republican Party.
Things are looking
Nixon.
up.
And you're
And
like,
the Republican Party just.
And I was just like,
renominated
at first I was like, are they trying? Is Veda a low-key Republican?
right? Was she a young Republican?
I think that answers the Archie Bunker question I had earlier about her dad. But, like,
Right.
I
the
just want.
Republican Party renominated Richard Nixon. I got sunshine. Don't worry, everything's awful again.
That
Well,
was
you know what
very
the sequel
interesting.
needed? The sequel needed to take place closer to Watergate, and like.
Well, they reference it.
But I mean, like, she needs to talk to her dad and be like, he's gone. All right. Nixon's gone.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Deal with this. I think, it's funny though, looking back, it's like, the kids are great. But I do think that like one of the strongest parts of the movie is like, Jamie Lee Curtis and her and Veda's relationship. Because I really like that throughout the movie. I really like that she tells her she stole the money for the class, and she's cool with that. She understands. That's just, she's a really good presence in this movie. And like you said, Matt, I think it was very different role for Jamie Lee Curtis at the time, especially. But she nails it because she's great.
You're the one with the dates in your head. When was Fish Called Wanda?
Fish Called Wanda was 88.
Okay, so this is still after all that. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
This is
okay.
what, like 89?
This came out in 91.
91, and the next one's in 94.
Yes.
Yep. 3 years apart.
So that was My Girl, my first experience with it. We've been talking about My Girl, like the song says. And we will be back in a week's time with My Girl 2, a movie I didn't know existed. Eric wasn't sure he'd seen before, if he'd only seen the trailer.
Yeah.
And is the movie that Shannon remembers the most.
Right.
of
Well,
the
because we
two.
were on Twitter, and like Eric was like, if you think of a movie where you like the sequel better, and I was joking because somebody said, made a joke about Thomas J and his glasses, and I was like, oh, you guys think My Girl's sad? My Girl 2, she goes to Los Angeles to find her dead actress mother. All right. That movie is much more depressing, and I'll leave it at that. And then I was like, Eric, I've got a good idea.
Sold.
So thank you for joining us on this journey, and we'll be back next week with My Girl 2.
Thank you. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
And that was our discussion of My Girl with Shannon Woodward. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us. That was such a huge delight. And we're going to do My Girl 2 next week. And Eric, a lot about My Girl surprised me. Like I had said during our chat, I had not seen it before. And I'm very much looking forward to My Girl 2, a sequel that I'm pretty sure I didn't even know existed.
It was very fun for me to go back to, and I was curious of talking to you about it just because it's inescapable. The meme of the bees and the fact that he's killed by the bees, that just comes up a lot. I think it's come up even since we've recorded with her. I saw it multiple times, references to those bees and the fact that the trauma of it all.
It's the trauma of it all, and as we joked about last week before we even started talking about the My Girl movies, is that like. Yeah, you can grow up with horror movies. You can grow up with like slasher movies and a lot of gore and kills and some pretty disturbing imagery. But the stuff that really sort of lands for you a lot are the big, sad, tragic death moments from coming of age or kids' movies or stuff like Horses Dying in Quicksand and Never Ending Story, or like big sad moments. You're not going to get sad moments in horror movies.
Right. And your parents, because parents will try to prep kids about like, now this might be a little scary. Are you up for, but they don't know it. They don't, when they took their kids to see My Girl, they did not expect Macaulay Culkin to be murdered by bees.
On that end too, parents will shield kids from horror movies. Like you and I got to watch slasher movies far younger than many kids got to watch them. Like some kids really do, really aren't able to watch rated R movies till much later, especially if it's like just a movie starring Jason or Freddy or Chucky or something like that. But a parent's going to give a huge thumbs up to Never Ending Story. Like this is a family fantasy movie, but surprise, surprise, it's Lando in disguise, you get to see something that's going to just F you up for life. So that's the My Girl situation, where that's why it stayed with a generation for decades. It's always going to be a source of childhood pain for so many. And that's why we love it.
And that's why it's great.
So thank you, everyone, for going on the My Girl journey with us. We'll be back next week with My Girl 2. And until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shock.
Shut up.